Hey, this is Pamela Schneider. I'm the retail editor for Blue Book Services, and this is the Produce Reporter Week in Review. First week in December, we're counting down to the winter break. But right now, let's talk about what's going on in the news world of produce. Greg, you saw something about food service this week, talking about some trends that maybe food service and retail could take advantage of going into the new year.
Yeah, United Fresh has a quarterly publication where they look at food service trends, and then they do a corresponding webinar with that. And they had one this week. And there was some interesting stuff in there. Food service in general is very odd right now, as we know, with different cities in various levels of shutdown and how much you can have people in stores or dining outside. But one of the things that stood out to me was something that I've also seen in retail. And it's that some items, such as they specifically called out garlic and blueberries and citrus, they have immunity properties associated with them, whether some of it's earned, some of it's inflated, obviously. But they're doing well in food service in addition to retail. I mean, we all have we've covered the citrus thing all year. And
I mean, yeah. Oranges are played out, but still trendy.
Yeah, earlier this year it was navel oranges, but that's happening in food service too. And I think that's really interesting. And it kind of sets us up as marketers. Do we want to overplay something that consumers kind of believe already? I mean, it's easier to lead people in the direction they're already going than it is to make them change direction. And one of the things that the produce industry has had trouble with in food service is people go out to eat to indulge themselves. And so it's hard to tell them, hey, eat something that's healthy, like fresh produce, because when I go out to eat, I don't want to eat something that's healthy. I want to indulge myself. But we're in this pandemic and I'm a little bit scared and I'm a little bit on edge and I feel a little bit powerless. Would I eat something that had immunity properties, especially if it was good, like blueberries and citrus and garlic and Italian dishes? Yeah, I think that's a direction that people want to go. And that's a direction that produce could push them. And that's easier than making them change direction on something.
I think that restaurants could take it even further because I feel like restaurants at this point, your regular menu, you need to adapt it to make it takeout friendly. So while you're making these adaptations and changes, and if it suits your style, why not make something that is just a special, targeted toward that audience of, think about the smoothie places. Here we've got Juiceland, but I'm thinking about my quintessential airport stop at Jamba Juice or something like that. They have a long history of adding heinous things to smoothies that are supposed to be like an immunity boost. I'm thinking of matcha. Nobody willingly eats matcha. Most of the time, it's like a spirulina or something like that. Wouldn't you rather have something that's like a blueberry salad than some kind of nasty drink?
Like flaxseed?
Right? Nobody chooses to eat a spoonful of flax seeds. But that foundation is there. It's a kind of a test to prove that consumers will turn toward those things when they know that it's giving you something. The prescriptive food, hey, the doctor's orders menu. And I know that there's like the dietitians out there going, oh, there's very specific words that you can use and you can't say this and you can't say that. But when consumers already believe it, like Data Essential has that really great slide of here are the foods that consumers already believe are immunity boosts. That's when you just, nudge it.
That's it. That's nudge.
Casually mention maybe on your social media that, hey, we have a citrus smoothie or we have a citrus dressing that goes on this blueberry and walnut salad. And by the way, walnuts and blueberries, bring you these nutrients. If consumers already believe that that's going to make them live forever, shoot, put extra of that on your menu.
Through the next couple months.
Right. Hey, I think it's a great idea. I think that even that they should do it even more. And it's not necessarily a trade out of fried chicken into blueberry salad. That's not what people are doing right now, but suggesting things that have more immunity boosting properties is only going to gain more attention than turn people off. They're already looking for something to eat that they didn't have to make. So solve the extra problem, and it's kind of like a sidecar of, you know, when you go to the airport in Vegas and you get a beer and they're like, you want a shot too? Like, hey, I'm already here. Hey, I'm getting fried chicken at the place down the street, but do you want a side salad that goes with that that's got immunity boost properties? I could make the argument for it.
It is, and it kind of makes me sound cynical sometimes, but I believe in giving people what they want, even if it's not true.
But it is true that fruits and vegetables do have immunity boost properties, and you know, this is already just pushing them farther into what they already think and know, and that the data does support. So in this case,
yeah, it's true. It's true-ish. It's on the right scale. You wrote a column last spring talking about these 8 items have more vitamin C than citrus, and that was more true. Mm-hmm. It's not that oranges don't, or
yeah, it's not that oranges don't, but it's the bell peppers. You know, maybe you should consider bell peppers.
Right, but no one talks about that. And I would not start marketing bell peppers are high in vitamin C. That's making people change direction. Like, they already believe that blueberries are good and they're antioxidants and all this stuff.
You know, the blueberry thing kind of makes me laugh because we had Kroger Earnings on Thursday, and the one thing that came out of that was actually produce specific, because, you know, I always listen to these hoping that they're going to talk about, you know, improving their produce programs. The online sales grew tremendously, not unexpected. And Kroger's CEO did say that he thinks that consumers cooking at home is going to stay for the foreseeable future, but that consumers are trying new things. And big blueberries was one of them. So maybe this data central thing about blueberries and immunity was also about consumers being attracted to, and I don't know if you've noticed them, but we talked about it before, where I had a clamshell of blueberries that were unexpectedly large. And I'm seeing them everywhere now. There's even a guy who found a big blueberry in his clamshell and branded it Chonk. And there's a Facebook page that you can follow that's Chonk the Blueberry. Come on.
Some people are really bored.
Some people are really bored, quarantined at home. They need something to do. They're tired of looking at their phones, so they're going to look at their blueberries, I guess.
Yes, I have noticed in the past couple weeks, I'm seeing much bigger berries in stores. I know companies are marketing that way, and they're growing them that way. Key will be to keep the firmness in addition to the size.
Yeah, because I mean, isn't that what you learned at the Blueberry conference, was that texture and crunch are what, you know, are even more important than flavor sometimes.
Yes, that is what the retailer from Costco said.
Yeah, even if you've got the flavor, if it's mushy, nobody wants it. But that also is counterintuitive to me, because what I use blueberries for is usually pie. And mushy blueberries in pie, it's halfway there to pie filling. So, and another place you can get blueberries increasingly these days is at convenience stores. And we've been publishing stories, a series of stories from our feature from the November-December issue of Produce Blueprints about convenience stores. And we've seen a lot of growth in these areas. And what are some of the things that we've been focusing on with convenience stores?
Yeah, our story is really good. And one of the things that's weird about doing it right now is convenience stores find themselves in an in-between, where they were really big for quick stops when people are on the go. And now with people not on the go so much because people are working at home, they've been able to focus a little bit more on some of the quality things. Like, people will buy meals now at convenience stores rather than just going in and get a Coke and a Slim Jim. And so that gives them new opportunities. And with new opportunities come learning curve, because while some bigger retail operations can absorb a certain level of shrink. When you're talking about a convenience store and really small square footage, that shrink just multiplies. So they really have to be careful ordering, and we get into a lot of that stuff. And of course, we look at some of the regional powerhouses of the convenience store world, because there really aren't very many convenience store chains that are nationwide. They're very regional. And you, I know, visited one of the famous ones last fall when we were all still traveling, the famous Wawa in the East Coast.
Yeah, I had to, because I've gotten into internet arguments because people are so loyal to their convenience stores, especially when it comes to Wawa and then my hometown, Buc-ee's. And if you have not been to a Buc-ee's in Texas, it's got 100 gas pumps. Semi trucks are not allowed. And it has, some of them have a full produce department. And somehow, I don't know, I need to talk to the Buc-ee's buyer, because the cantaloupe is good every time I've ever had it. It's just the loyalty that these inspire. You can buy Buc-ee's merch. You can wear a Buc-ee's bikini if you want to go to the beach with your Buc-ee's beach towel and your Buc-ee's bucket with your Buc-ee's shovel to dig in the sand. I mean, it's that crazy. And Wawa is almost the same. But what is really amazing about Wawa is that they're doing this catering. Sorry. They're doing catering. They're doing meals. They're doing order out, like takeout, that you can specifically go to a gas station for, which is not something that you would think of other than when you think of like gas station barbecue or something like that. That's really common here in Texas. Most of the
City. Thank you very much.
Well, I mean, yeah, Kansas City. I'm like, we've got Rudy's. Y'all have Joe Casey, which I think will always be Oklahoma Joe's to me. These types of convenience stores inspire a tremendous amount of loyalty, but they're not only, right now during the pandemic, they're not only like this place that you like have to go because it's the most convenient. It's also for me and my family, we actually have another regional powerhouse that just opened up around the corner from us, Quick Trip from Kansas City. They're making their way down through the Austin corridor and the 35 corridor, but we go to Quick Trip on Fridays for Friday Fun Day after school. And we will go pick up a drink and a snack. And it's an indulgence for me to take my kids to the convenience store to pick up a snack, because I don't want to take them into the big store. I don't take my kids to the grocery store right now. We'll go to Quick Trip and grab a drink and something to eat as a fun thing to do to get out of the house right now, because we're not going anywhere else. And what's great about Quick Trip is there's not that many people in there.
Yeah.
So
we have super cheap soft serve ice cream too.
Yes, 49 cents on happy hour.
That is a walkable trip for us here at this house. So that's a very common summer and even spring and fall activity. Here's a buck, kids. Go get some ice cream.
And the newer ones, I don't know what yours looks like, but the newer ones have a full service food counter in them that does all kinds of things. They do pizza and sandwiches, and they have the digital ordering just like Wawa has as well. So it's not just like a memory of the beef jerky at a Jiffy Stop when I was a kid. There's all kinds of really great stuff, and it's actually an indulgence to go in there for us right now, and not just necessity and convenience.
Yeah, well, Rutter's is one of the ones we feature. We actually feature them on the cover, and they offer locally grown in season. So, wow. I mean, that's something that's just unheard of a generation ago.
So if you want to see what a Buc-ee's looks like, you can actually stay tuned. I'll be posting a video for Produce with Pamela of a tour of a Buc-ee's, and then I've got some photos from Wawa as well that I'll kind of do a little head-to-head comparison. But I'm just telling you, there's no way that you can beat the banana pudding or the cantaloupe cup from Buc-ee's. It's my favorite.
That's a kind of a homer call, but do what you got to do.
All right, well, that's it for the Produce Reporter Week in Review. If you are not getting the Produce Reporter, you need to go to producebluebook.com and sign up.
I guess people are bored.
They are. They're stuck at home and bored, and so they're branding their blueberries and naming them. And there's even one that's like, there's a whole thing that people are submitting their own, and they've got one named Marty, and then there's Blue Boss, Large Blue, Large Blue. They've come up with their own scale of how big the blueberries are.
Did they
I mean,
eat them yet?
I'm sure they ate it. They had to have eaten it. This site started, um, I don't even know. 806 people follow Chonk the Blueberry. So never underestimate quarantine boredom.